Good morning. Let me ask you something. How bad do you want it? I'm serious. How bad do you really want it? Because that's what this journey, this climb from zero to hero is all about. It's not about talent. It's not about who your parents are, what school you went to, or what's in your bank account. It's about hunger, drive, discipline. It's about refusing to stay down when life knocks you flat. Let me tell you something real. We all start at zero. I don't care who you are. Everybody starts somewhere. Some of us start with nothing in our pockets, no safety nets, no support, just pain, frustration, and a dream that don't even make sense to other people. But here's the key. You don't need people to believe in your dream. You just need one person. You. When you're at zero, nobody calls, nobody claps, nobody cares, there's no applause, no spotlight. But that's the furnace where champions are made. That's the place where character is forged. While everybody's sleeping, you're working. While they're laughing, you're grinding. While they're relaxing, you're bleeding for that dream. Let me talk to the ones who've been counted out. The ones people laughed at, the ones who failed and heard, "I told you so." The ones who were never picked first, who've been told, "You're not good enough, you'll never make it." I'm talking to you, because that was me. I've been at rock bottom. I know what it's like to look at the mirror and wonder if the person staring back is ever going to rise up. But listen to me, zero is not your final destination. It's just your starting point. See, everybody wants to be a hero. Everybody wants the title, the respect, the victory. But what they don't want is the process. They don't want to wake up early when it's cold and dark and lonely. They don't want to keep going when the results don't show. But the ones who become heroes, they do it anyway. You got to want it like your life depends on it. Because sometimes it does. You got to want success more than you want to sleep, more than you want to party, more than you want to stay comfortable. You can't level up if you're still holding hands with your excuses. When I was at zero, you know what changed everything? Ownership. I stopped pointing fingers. I stopped saying it's not fair or I can't because of them. I said, no, this is my life. This is my dream. I'm taking control. And from that moment on, everything changed. Not overnight, but over time. The journey from zero to hero doesn't happen in one giant leap. It happens in 1,000 tiny steps. Every early morning, every extra rep, every book you read when you could be watching TV, every time you show up when you don't feel like it. That's one step closer. Let me break this down for you. Zero is the rejection. Zero is the failure. Zero is the self-doubt. Zero is being broke, being alone, being tired. But the hero is the one who still gets up. The hero is the one who fights through the silence. The hero is the one who turns pain into fuel and uses the fire to climb. I'm not saying it'll be easy. I'm saying it'll be worth it. There will be tears. There will be setbacks. But those aren't signs to quit. They're signs you're in the fight. And that fight is what separates the average from the unstoppable. You want to know what heroes do? They don't wait for the right moment. They create it. They don't cry about the door being closed. They kick it in or build a new one. They don't let their past define them. They let it refine them. Let's be clear. Heroes aren't perfect. They're not born with superpowers. They mess up. They fall. But they refuse to stay down. And that's what makes them legendary. That's what makes them stand out. So if you're at zero right now, I need you to hear me loud and clear. This is not the end of your story. This is just the chapter where the hero rises. This is the part where you decide, I don't care how many times I've failed. I don't care what they said about me. I'm not staying at zero. I'm not settling for average. You want to be a hero? Then act like one. Wake up with purpose, move with intensity, talk to yourself like a warrior. Sacrifice for what you want. Push past the pain. Chase growth like your destiny depends on it, because it does. And don't wait for motivation. That's a luxury. Discipline is your weapon now. Motivation is fleeting, but discipline gets you through the hard days, through the days where it feels like nothing's working. Discipline gets you to the top. Here's the truth. No one's coming to save you. No handouts, no shortcuts. You are the rescue plan. You are the hero you've been waiting for. Stop searching for the hero outside of you. You've had it inside all along. So rise up. Walk like you've already arrived, even if the world doesn't see it yet. Speak your dream out loud, even if your voice shakes. Train like your future depends on it, because it does. Move like your name belongs on the wall, in the books, in the legacy. From zero to hero isn't a fairy tale. It's a mindset. It's a battle. It's a decision. And it's your time. No more excuses. No more waiting. Start now. Fight now. Climb now. Because when the dust settles, when the lights come on, when the story is told, they won't just say you made it. They'll say you earned it. From the bottom. From zero all the way to hero. Thank you. Zero is a starting point, not a sentence. Let that truth sink in. Too many people treat zero like it's the end of the road, like it's a life sentence handed down because of where they were born, what they've been through, or what they lack. But that's a lie. Zero isn't the end, it's the beginning. It's the blank canvas. It's the raw, unshaped potential waiting to be molded into greatness. The problem is, most people don't recognize the power hidden in starting from nothing. They're so focused on what they don't have that they fail to see what they do have. The freedom to build, the hunger to rise, and the grit that only comes from the ground up. Starting at zero gives you clarity. It removes distractions. It's you versus you. There's no applause, no fanfare, no expectations, just pure, undiluted opportunity. When you have nothing, you've got nothing to lose. And that's a dangerous level of freedom. That's where you find out who you really are. That's where the real fight begins. People who start at zero learn to get it out the mud. They learn to fight for every inch, to appreciate every win, to keep swinging even when no one is watching. And those lessons, they stay with you forever. See, when you're handed everything, you don't learn how to earn anything. But when you're given nothing, you learn how to create everything. You learn how to grind, how to survive, how to build brick by brick. And that toughness, that resilience becomes the foundation for something unshakable. So don't curse your beginning, embrace it. Because what you call a struggle today, the world will one day call your origin story. Too often, people look at those who've made it and think they always had it figured out. They don't see the late nights, the broke days, the rejection letters, the empty rooms. They don't see the zero. They only see the hero. But every hero has a zero. Every champion has a chapter where they were doubted, overlooked, and underestimated. That chapter matters. It's the one that defines the rest of the story. Zero doesn't define your worth. It reveals your will. It asks the question, what will you do when no one's clapping for you? When no one believes in you? When the world tells you to give up? Will you fold or will you fight? Will you complain or will you climb? Because zero is the proving ground. It's where dreams are either buried or born. And the difference between the two? Mindset. The ones who rise from zero aren't the ones with the most talent or the best connection. They're the ones who refuse to stay down. The ones who use failure as fuel. The ones who look at rock bottom and say, this is where I build my foundation. Zero will test you. It will humble you. It will stretch you past your limits, but it will also teach you. It will sharpen you. It will build something in you that ease never could. Conflict does. And when you start from zero, you learn how to thrive in the fire. You learn to endure, to persist, to rise. So understand this. Zero is not a curse. It's a challenge. It's an invitation, an opportunity in disguise. It's the place where you discover not just what you want, but who you are. Most people avoid it, fear it, run from it. But the ones who own it, they're the ones who write history. Discipline outlasts motivation. Motivation is a spark. It lights you up for a moment. It gets you excited, gets your heart racing, fills your head with big dreams and your chest with temporary fire. But then life hits. The alarm clock rings at 5 a.m. and that spark doesn't feel so warm anymore. The gym is cold. Your muscles are sore. The work is boring, and suddenly motivation is nowhere to be found. That's when most people quit. That's when the hype fades. Because motivation feels good, but it doesn't last. Discipline is what carries you through when motivation disappears. Discipline doesn't care how you feel. Discipline shows up. Whether it's raining, whether you're tired, whether it's your birthday, whether you're discouraged, whether no one else believes in you. Discipline is the soldier in the trenches that never leaves the fight. It's not flashy. It's not loud. It's consistent. And consistency is what separates dreamers from doers, starters from finishers, the almost from the unstoppable. You don't need to be inspired every day. You need to be committed every day. The truth is, if you rely on motivation, you'll be inconsistent. One day you're running full speed, the next day you're on the couch making excuses. But discipline doesn't negotiate. It doesn't ask if you feel like it. It tells you to get up, lace your shoes, and go again, even if the results aren't visible yet, even if progress feels slow, even when nobody's clapping for you. That's where the transformation happens. Not in the days you're excited, but in the days you're exhausted and still show up. Look around. Everyone's motivated in January. Everyone's pumped on day one. Everyone's excited when it's easy. But check in after 6 months. Check in when the results are delayed, when life gets in the way. That's when discipline steps in and says, we keep going. That's why discipline wins. It builds structure around your life. It builds systems, habits, routines. It becomes part of who you are, not just something you do when you're in the mood. The champions, the top performers, the ones who keep rising, they don't rely on emotion. They don't sit around waiting to feel inspired. They train their minds to lead their bodies. They build schedules. They commit to plans. They hold themselves accountable, not because someone's watching, but because they know that showing up, especially when it's hard, is what builds greatness. Discipline doesn't just lead to results. It builds identity. When you act with discipline long enough, it becomes your standard. Discipline is quiet. It doesn't scream for attention, but over time, its results speak louder than any hype. The body transforms, the mind strengthens, the skill sharpens, and success starts stacking. All because you did what needed to be done, even when you didn't want to do it. That's what makes it powerful. That's what makes it rare. Motivation might get you started, but discipline gets you to the finish line. It's the glue that holds your goals together when everything around you tries to pull them apart. It's the voice in your head that says, get back to work, when excuses start screaming. It's the force that wakes you up early, keeps you late, and drives you forward when everything inside wants to stop. You don't become elite on your best days. You become elite when you stay committed on your worst ones. You can scroll all day looking for motivation, watching videos, reading quotes, hyping yourself up, but until you build discipline, it won't stick. Because when the feelings fade, and they will fade, you need something stronger, something anchored, something that doesn't break under pressure. That's discipline. It doesn't just help you win once. It helps you win again and again. You are the rescue plan. Nobody's coming. Not your friends, not your family, not your boss, not some miracle. You are the answer you've been waiting for. Too many people spend their lives looking outside themselves for a hero, waiting for someone to swoop in and save them from the struggle, the pain, the mess they're in. But the truth is, the only person who can truly change your life is the one staring back at you in the mirror. That person has the power. That person holds the key. That person is the solution. Waiting won't bring change. Hoping won't build success. Blaming others won't fix your situation. You've got to look yourself in the eye and say, it's on me. That's not weakness, that's strength. Taking full ownership of your life is the most powerful move you can make. Because when you realize you're the one responsible, you also realize you're the one who can do something about it. You stop playing the victim. You stop making excuses. You start acting, moving, building. That's how change happens. That's how growth begins. People will disappoint you. They'll promise to show up and vanish when it counts. That's life. You can't control them, but you can control you. You can control your effort, your response, your attitude, your grind. And when you shift your mindset from why me to try me, everything changes. You stop wishing things were easier and start making yourself stronger. You stop hoping someone else will open the door and start building your own. Nobody's more invested in your dream than you are. Nobody's gonna care like you care. That's why you have to stop outsourcing your future. Stop handing your potential over to someone else's approval. It's not about who believes in you. It's about whether you believe in you. Whether you believe in your ability to rise, to fight, to figure it out, no matter what. You don't need permission. You don't need validation. You need action. You need movement. You need to become the kind of person who doesn't fold under pressure, but steps into it with purpose. You are the rescue plan. Not tomorrow, not next year, now. Every moment you waste waiting for a better time, a better situation, a better support system is a moment you could be using to level up. Time doesn't pause while you hesitate. Life doesn't wait for your confidence to catch up. You have to move even when you're scared, even when you're unsure, even when everything in you wants to stay still. That's what ownership looks like. That's what power feels like. It's not loud, it's quiet. It's built in the decisions nobody sees, the early wake-ups, the late-night hustle, the small choices repeated every day that compound into something great. You can't afford to rely on someone else to lead your life. If they stop showing up, you stop moving. If they stop clapping, you stop working. That's not power. That's dependency. And dependency kills progress. But when you become your own rescue plan, your motivation, your discipline, your coach, you take back control. You walk through fire and come out stronger. You stop needing the world to believe in you because you believe in yourself so deeply that even silence becomes fuel. This isn't about being perfect. It's about being responsible. It's about understanding that the gap between where you are and where you want to be won't close itself. No one's going to hand you the blueprint. No one's going to do the reps for you. No one's going to drag you to the top. That's your job. That's your mission. That's your responsibility. The process builds the person. Everybody wants the result, the glory, the finish line, but most people try to skip the process. They want to go from start to success without going through the fire. But it's the fire that forges you. It's the process that breaks you down, exposes your weaknesses, humbles your ego, and then rebuilds you into someone capable of carrying the weight of your dream. The process doesn't just give you the outcome, it gives you the strength, character, and mindset to hold it when you finally get there. There's no shortcut to greatness. You can't bypass the grind. You can't cheat your way to mastery. The process is where the work is done. And most of that work happens in silence, when no one's watching, when no one's clapping, when the excitement is gone and it's just you, the grind, and your commitment to keep going. That's where the real you is built. Not in the moment you win, but in the thousands of moments you wanted to quit and didn't. The process is uncomfortable on purpose. It's designed to test you, stretch you, challenge every part of you. Because without pressure, there's no progress. You don't learn strength by talking about it. You learn it by pushing when you're tired, by getting up after you failed, by showing up again and again without results. The process is what separates the casual from the committed. It weeds out the ones who want it for the attention from the ones who want it for the growth. It builds discipline, resilience, focus, and humility. It teaches you that it's not just about reaching a goal. It's about becoming the kind of person who never needs to be reminded why they started. When you trust the process, you begin to understand that every setback is part of your shaping. Every loss, every delay, every obstacle. It's not punishment, it's preparation. You're not being denied, you're being developed. And development takes time. Muscles don't grow overnight. Skills don't sharpen without repetition. Mindsets don't shift after one motivational video. You've got to live in the grind. You've got to breathe in the repetition and find purpose in the routine. That's what builds the foundation success can stand on. The process is also where your identity is formed. Every time you keep going when it's hard, you're telling yourself who you are. Every time you choose effort over excuses, you're building a belief system that says, I do hard things. That internal belief becomes unshakable. And that's what allows you to endure storms others can't handle. Most people want transformation. There is no strength without resistance, no rise without weight, no hero without the hard climb. You have to fall in love with the process even when it's boring, even when it's slow, even when it feels like nothing is changing, because that's the secret. Change is always happening, but it's not always visible. Seeds grow roots long before they break the surface. The same is true for your journey. You're developing roots right now. Depth, fortitude, patience, all things success requires, but motivation alone can provide. The ones who make it to the top aren't just talented, they're trained by the process. They've been in the trenches, they've been tested. That's why they can handle the pressure when the spotlight finally hits. And when the moment does come, when the doors open, when the opportunity finally arrives, you'll be ready. Not because you lucked into it, but because the process made you ready. You didn't skip steps. You didn't fake it. You paid the price in full. And that price, that process, that's what made you who you are. Heroes are forged in silence, not spotlight. The world celebrates the moment someone wins, the moment they break through, the moment their name is known. But that moment is only a snapshot. What people don't see is everything that came before it, the silence, the solitude, the struggle. Heroes aren't made when the cameras are on. They're made when no one is watching, when they're grinding in the dark, when they're doing the work that never makes it to social media, when they're pushing through pain without applause and getting up day after day with nothing but vision and grit. Silence is where the real transformation happens. It's where doubts get loud, where fears show their face, where excuses try to convince you to give up. And it's also where strength is born. Because if you can keep going without validation, if you can train without praise, if you can believe without proof, you're building something unbreakable. In silence, there's no audience to impress, only a purpose to pursue. That's where character is built. That's where mental toughness grows. Not from people telling you you're great, but from proving it to yourself every single day. The spotlight is seductive, but it's not where the work lives. The work lives in the quiet hours, the early mornings, the late nights, the lonely grind. It lives in the sacrifices no one sees, the discipline no one talks about, the battles you fight in your own head. People want the results, but skip the silence. They want the shine, but fear the shadows. But the shadows are necessary. The shadows are where you learn who you really are. Not who you pretend to be, not who you wish you were, but the raw, unfiltered version of yourself that only shows up when there's no one to perform for. You have to learn to be okay with the silence. You have to learn to trust the process, even when it's quiet, even when it's slow, even when it feels like nothing is happening. Because something is happening. Growth is happening. Mindset is changing. Strength is being built. But it doesn't always make noise. Real growth rarely does. It doesn't announce itself. It reveals itself through consistency, effort, and time. And when that growth finally shows up in the form of results, people will call you lucky, gifted, or overnight success. But you'll know the truth. You'll know how many silent nights you spent building what they're just now noticing. You can't fake silence. You can fake talent, fake hype, fake effort, but you can't fake the results of what happens when you grind in silence. That's why it's the true training ground. It exposes the lazy and elevates the relentless. The ones who can stay committed in silence become the ones who dominate in the spotlight, because the silence builds roots, depth, substance. And when the light finally hits, those roots keep you grounded. They protect you from the noise, the distractions, the pressure. So don't chase the spotlight. Chase the silence. Chase the lonely hours that nobody wants. Chase the work that isn't glamorous, because that's where the real ones are forged. That's where the warriors are made. Every moment you spend in silence, working, building, grinding, you're preparing for the day your time comes. And when it does, you won't have to prove anything. You'll be everything the world said you couldn't be.